And welcome back to the Crypto Hulk Show. We are live here with Caleb Brown. We try to do this a couple times a month if we can on a regular basis. It's primarily set up for new people and even people if you're advanced in buying crypto or trading or whatever it might be. We can answer some questions for those people too. Let me see what's going on with this right here. Hold on a minute. Okay, I can kind of see the video playing. Now I want to wait. Oh, we got a heart. First one is Jay. Jay says, "What's up, Hulk?" Let me go to this show here. What I'm doing now is giving instructions to people that are watching, I guess, this other channel. Let me do this. Let me pin this message right there to the top. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, now some people are starting to show up. We got Stu Lavelle, and then we got Redfin, Jamaica. I talk to Jamaica at least a couple times a week on the phone. He's a member of the other group that I have. MKP is here. It'll take about 1 to 2 minutes or so, and then everyone ought to be here by then. John T says, and we're all back. Yes. Everybody, today we got Caleb Brown here. Some of us has questions about what custody should we do or what's going to help us or what's not. We got an open show. I think we'll start off the show with the Caleb Brown representative and ask him, or he can say a few words to start off on maybe why he's on this particular program, what Caleb Brown can offer you guys, and how Caleb Brown is maybe unique, like different from just any other crypto exchange, or why should I have my money on Caleb Brown or something. We'll start off with some basic stuff in the very beginning, and depending on the questions, we can get into more other things. I kind of leave this open-ended and loosely knit. So we'll just start off with with an intro from Caleb Brown on why they're here and how they can help you. And we can I'll maybe ask questions or you guys can ask questions. But this right here, you guys, is very, very important to have set up. Before crypto takes off, I want Caleb Brown here on this channel. That's why we decided to partner up. And I have them with 75% of my cryptocurrency. I got a hardware wallet with about 25% in there. So I'll end up with just that. Let's have Jim from Caleb Brown say hello and give a little introduction or something like that will be fine. And by then, maybe more people will show up. And here we go.
Yeah, sure. Well, look, thanks for having me back on again, Hulk. It's good to be back on another live stream. As you said, we try and do this every 2 weeks. And really, this is just an open session. So if you have questions about our service, you have questions about the overall market, more than happy to discuss them today and answer any questions. In terms of why we work with the crypto Hulk community, we've probably been in partnership now for the best part of a year or coming close to it. It's really to help best support everyone within this community with their own dedicated broker, with an institutional grade service that we try and make accessible to the everyday investor. And that's something that I'll stress throughout a lot of these questions is that you get a personalized service with us. We try and provide a top end institutional like service, but you don't need necessarily all of the money or the necessary accreditation or wholesaler investor status to be able to enjoy this experience and this service. And so we've worked really closely with Hulk, myself personally, but also, Hulk, as he mentioned, uses the service as well. He has a broker in Sean who looks after him whenever he needs trades executed. As he mentioned, he uses our cold storage solution as well. I leverage it exactly the same as Hulk. So I have a really big portion of my net worth on Caleb Brown, but then I also have a ledger wallet as well. So it just gives you that flexibility. And it's an institutional approach, not only in the service, but also the custody, in how we do liquidity, in how we execute trades. It really is a full blown service. So happy to go into more details on any of that. I imagine most people on this live stream have probably seen me before, have heard of Calvin Brown. But if there's any questions you may have, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll look to address them in sort of the hour we have here.
Okay, one of the things that I didn't really think about this too much 5.5 years ago, because I was really pro having your little nano ledger stuff or whatever. And that was always, I thought I was new to crypto 5.5 years. I didn't know anything about crypto whatsoever. I studied crypto for about 3 months and then started a YouTube show. So I was pretty new at it. And I didn't believe in any kind of institutional custody at all to begin with, because I didn't know about it because I was brand new to crypto. And I could say after about 5 to maybe 5.5 years of making videos, I've realized about quantum computers. When I first started, I didn't really hear too much anything about them. And that was always, a quantum computer was always something supposed to be 30 years away or 20 years away and stuff. But and then just all the hackings that have happened and the FTX and the scandals and all these things, I'm like, oh my God. So over the years of just seeing failed after failed crypto exchanges where customers don't have, they're not owning their account, they're just holders of an account. And then so I've always been kind of suspect of these crypto exchanges, or I didn't even know anything about a Caleb Brown, never even heard of a place that just does custody, and you can buy and sell, but they're not an exchange necessarily. It's more of a custody solution. And it's just I didn't know too much about Caleb Brown. And then the more that I learned, I watched their commercials and I started learning about what is this company and what's so special. And then I learned that they have fire blocks, and that was a game changer for me. Because I do the crypto shows and I know about fire blocks, and I know that like all the top banks in the world, they all use Fireblocks custody solution. Then I find out Kevin Brown uses Fireblocks custody solution. I said, oh my God. See, after seeing all these failed crypto exchanges and the hackings in some of these exchanges, I'm like, oh my God, well, can't put it on the exchange, you know? Then as time went on, I started hearing more about hacks of wallets or whatever. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to need to learn about this Caleb Brown company. So what I did, instead of me joining right away, I had you guys that on my channel, and you guys joined up because I wanted to see if this was a good company or not, because I didn't want to join it and tell you guys to join it if it sucks. So I had you guys join it first. And everybody's like, man, I love this company. Whoa, Crypto Hulk. And then I think after about 4 weeks or 5 weeks, somewhere in there, then I joined it myself after you. And then I talked to Jim and the people at Caleb Brown, and I said, hey, I want to be able to talk about your guys' custody solution, the brokers, and everything you guys can do for my Crypto Hulk fans, because if I'm going to use a service, I've got to believe in it. And then the people that watch my show, they've got to love that custody provider, and they've got to find value. So after 5, 6 weeks, I became a customer. I had not bought crypto for about 4.5 years. Because I was afraid, like, what do I do? If I put it in my hardware wallet, someone's going to steal it, or maybe somebody can hack into it one day. If I put it on exchange, we might have another Sam Bankman-Fried moment, or whatever his guy's name is, whatever with his FTX stuff. So I'm like, damn, what do I do? And then all of a sudden I found about Caleb Brown and started learning more and more. And then the game changer with me is I got my own broker that I can call, email. That's totally cool. This is institutional custody, the same that like Bank of New York Mellon or these other banks, they got the same thing we do. So I'm like, damn, this is a pretty good deal. And I wanted them to be teammates with me because I have a great crypto program and I investigate things thoroughly. And this Caleb Brown is, I think, part of a system that I'd like to be in, where I could look up cryptos and we could store them at Caleb Brown. And that's why I find it a pleasure to have them on my show whenever they can show up to help you or brand new people that come to my channel, because I believe in this company, because I know that their custody solution, in my opinion, it's the best. Otherwise, the biggest banks in the world are not going to use this custody platform. So let me get to some questions here. And if Jim has anything to say, feel free. I'm going to start reading some questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo that sentiment around, look, it's an all-encompassing service. Custody is a really important component of crypto. Not only do you want to be making great investment decisions, but you also need to focus on the wealth preservation aspect of it, which is how do I actually custody these assets? Now, as a business, we very much encourage our clients to use a hardware wallet, and we can help clients at times set them up. But certainly, you don't want to have all your eggs necessarily in one basket. We've seen plenty of examples in the past where people have had their ledger compromised or scammed on their laptop, and then they have their seed phrase or whatever written on their laptop. Again, that's not great security practice. So we always recommend that clients have a diversification of custody options, and certainly Calvin Brown is one of those. As Hulk mentioned, we do work with Fireblocks. They're used by the largest crypto institutions and banks around the world. But even more importantly, they provide the solution. We have a team here that's put in place a whole bunch of security procedures and policies, transaction authorization policies, which are referred to as CAP, to make our system even more secure than just, say, the regular standardized solution that Fireblocks would provide. So we're an incredibly mature business. We've been around since 2016, which means we've been through periods of really peak demand and an influx of new clients. We've also been around through the bear market and continue to service our clients, continue to always be there whenever you need. So whether that's via email or booking in a call with your broker. And it's just a unique service that you're not going to really get anywhere else. I feel very fortunate and lucky to be a Calvin Brown client, because there's not really any other businesses doing this at the scale that we are. You get a dedicated broker who's an expert in this space, who can help you set up your portfolio, help you set up things like exit strategies. So I'd always recommend to at least have an account, because when there are periods of high demand, and I've experienced this before in other exchanges, often at times they'll lock you out of your account, or you won't even be able to get onto your account because their website's shut down. With us, you'll always have accessibility via the portal, or you'll always be able to go through your broker to make trades as well. So it's always good to have diversification of different services and platforms, and that's certainly something I'd recommend with Calvin Brown, especially considering it's completely free to make an account and speak to a broker to see if the service is right for you.
That's exactly right. Let me read some questions, because some of the questions kind of deal with what Jim just said. Hector Ramos says, I've been seriously considering having Caleb Brown custody for me. Hector, I'm telling you what, like I started off with, I didn't join Caleb Brown and then everybody else followed. Everybody else joined Caleb Brown and then I followed after you guys. Okay. So that's how this works. It's not like I'm going to get some custody solution and everybody's going to do what I say or whatever. You guys joined first. And then I'll tell you what, after about 6 weeks, okay, me and Jim talked. Actually, I think Jim contacted me and said, hey, are you going to you got all your people are joining Caleb Brown. Like, I think it's about time, what are we going to do here? Because that's just what I wanted first. I wanted all you guys to be happy and to know that Caleb Brown is Crypto Hulk's choice. So you guys joined first. And then it wasn't until like 6 weeks later. And then he's like, oh, you got to kind of do something here. And I just wanted to make sure all of you guys were happy with the services provided. And then I joined after that. I did my research. I looked into Caleb Brown. I wanted to make sure they were a company that you guys like and you guys feel comfortable with. And once I was sure you guys were happy, then I joined after that. That's how I am. So, Hector, I think you should seriously consider joining right now, because you need to get it all set up. you can fund your account with crypto you have somewhere else. Whatever, let's say you have it on exchange somewhere or a wallet somewhere, whatever, you can send it to Kalen Brown to hold for free. You can have institutional custody like the biggest banks in the entire world and still be like us, regular average Joe people. I don't have to be worth $5 million. I don't need to be an accredited investor with Kalen Brown. I get institutional custody the same as billionaires. And now I do have to make minimum $500 trades at Kalen Brown because you know what? It's a institutional exchange that's working with little people like us. Uh, if you're going to make a purchase, you got to have 500 bucks to purchase or to swap or whatever. I'm fine with that. Okay. So Hector, hook it up. I have them on my channel for a reason. This Kalen Brown is part of my channel. I stand with that company, the people that work there, the knowledge, skills, and ability that they have. I trust these people. They do a great job. They got all this crypto there, none of it's scammy, no rug pull stuff. They do their best. I mean, it happens to some of the best people in the world or exchanges in the world, but they do their best to look through cryptos, to study the companies that made them, and to make sure we don't buy garbage crypto. And let's see another question. Steve Mariano. I just talked to Steve a few hours ago. He's a $500 member. As soon as my LLC is formed, I am going to create a Kalen Brown account to custody. Steve, I say do it right away. It's free. What do you got to lose? Me and you talked about the different cryptos that you have. Transfer some of them there. Transfer like one unit, and then once it makes it to that account, send the rest. You can go to the upper left corner. Jim, tell people, help people figure this out because I didn't know this at first until you said it. How, if someone wanted to do it themselves, how do they look at their Kalen Brown account on the left side of the screen and then transfer stuff to Kalen Brown?
Yeah, so Steve, in that scenario, I'll just take one step back. So you wanted to onboard with your LLC, that's fine. When you have your LLC documentation, you can create an account with that LLC and trade through there. Although in the meantime, as Hulk mentioned, you can also still create an individual account. So you can create an individual Steve account, which would just be all you're dealing as an individual investor. And then when the time comes where you want to onboard your LLC, you can actually add a secondary account, which will be an entity account, and it'll all fall under the same login. So if it's something that you wanted to get started today, you can still just create an individual account. And then when the LLC is ready, you can onboard that LLC as well. So that's the first part. You don't necessarily have to wait until that entity is formed. And then as Hulk mentioned, there's a wide array of things that you can do yourself without needing assistance or approval from the broker. And then that, first part is depositing crypto. So on the left-hand side of your portal, I don't have anything in front of me, but on the left-hand side, there's a navigation bar, and that'll have all the different things that you can do. So you can trade, you can look at your holdings, you can do a whole bunch of different stuff, but there'll be a section there that says deposit, and it'll be deposit crypto. And what you would do is you'd click on deposit crypto. It would then show you a list of all the different wallet addresses you have and all the different tokens that we support. Let's just say in this scenario that you wanted to move over HBAR, you would go through that list, or you would type in HBAR, you'd find the asset, you'd click on it, and then what it would do is it actually show you your wallet address, your memo, or anything else that is required to send that through to Kalen Brown. And then that would be your wallet address that you would move those assets over to. So it's the same process as if it was Bitcoin or Ethereum. You have a unique wallet address to all the assets that we list. And then you would go, let's just say you're holding it at another exchange. You would send those assets through to that wallet address that is listed on your Kalen Brown account. So as Hulk mentioned, it's a pretty simple process. We always recommend to do test transactions first. But again, it's the benefit of having a broker. If you ever have any issues, please feel free to email them and reach out. They're there to help you with that process as well. So relatively seamless, but you have your broker or our customer support team here if you need.
I'm going to add this just from my personal experience. Hey, I've used some wallets out there, whether it's Jupiter or whatever, and these things are like damn near impossible for me to figure out. I'm going to tell you what, I'm not a tech person. I can research like a bloodhound dog, but I have a problem with tech. And I'm going to tell you what, It's easy for me on Caleb. I did it myself. I was shocked. Caleb Brent makes it this easy. But yeah, you go to the left side, go to deposit. You can deposit money, crypto. You go to crypto. If you want, you can type in the name of your crypto you want to transfer. You go to your phone. I mean, just it makes it easy. So look into that. Let me go to the next person's question. Um, John says, "Hey Hulk, why don't Swift, I guess Swift Worldwide, make their own coin for cross-border settlement? You think Swift just gonna cave in and let blockchain take over? Don't make sense." Well, let me tell you something. It's not just that easy. First, you got to make your own blockchain. Look, I don't know if you've heard, but like banks don't usually innovate. What banks do is buy somebody who's already done it. Like, for instance, if I need a car, right? It would be a disaster literally for me to make a car. You wouldn't even probably recognize it's a car. I can't build shit, okay? So it's kind of like, what does Swift do right now? They use a system that somebody developed 50 years ago. Maybe it was Swift. See, the problem with it's cheaper to just go buy a platform and get it done. That's because with all the research and development and millions and billions of dollars, it's just Swift isn't, they're not scientists. They move messages. It's a messaging service. It'd be like B of A. They're a banker. They don't create blockchains. They'd have to start a whole company. It's just cheaper to say, "Hey, Ripple, give us a platform that does this and that and the other, and we'll utilize it." It's kind of like you buy an Apple, you go buy a computer, right? And then you install Windows. It's the same fucking thing. So you buy a computer, Acer, whatever the fuck you want to buy, and then you buy it with Windows installed. You tell Best Buy whatever the hell you want on his computer instead of me trying to code. You see what I'm saying? So Swift's not going to get in the business of hiring three or 500 software engineers and spending 20 years. It's just they'll just buy something that exists. It's quicker. It's quicker for them to spend 500 million bucks to get it done. Bam, like that, you know? So that's not, I don't see Swift doing that, but that
And
kind of
Swift is a standard. It's not one all-encompassing company. It's a range of different financial institutions and banks that have come up with this standardized way for uh, currency and finance to be conducted. So for them to have to create a token themselves, that have to have alignment across all of those businesses. As Hulk mentioned, that's multiple banks that would all have to agree to a certain standard, the tokenomics of the asset, as you mentioned, the blockchain. How would we create that? Would we leverage another layer two that's already in use? There'd be a lot of complications with that. And certainly, I think from their perspective, they probably don't see it as that much of an interruption on their day to day. They're probably not viewing blockchain and digital assets as that threatening to them, which is probably in hindsight not a great viewpoint for their end. But I do sort of agree with Hulk that I don't envision them changing the way in which they've operated for so many years, simply because there's a new and more efficient way of doing things. I think they're relatively stuck in their ways, and we certainly experience that with banks that we work with. They're inherently anti-crypto. They're quite old school and still view it as a scam industry in a lot of ways. In my belief, in order to get that sort of change of perspective, it would be quite a big shift on the current way of thinking. But we never know. We'll see what happens. But certainly, I don't envision it happening anytime soon.
MK_P says, is Caleb and Brown Florida office up and running?
Yeah, so it is operational. So we have a team set up there currently that are just building out the foundations. We haven't publicly revealed the address yet, just because we're still working through how we'll actually accept clients into the office. It's certainly something that was really the main reason why we got the office set up. We want to meet more of our clients face to face. Our brokerage team there is still relatively small compared to our one in Australia, but we do have resources continuing to migrate over. So certainly at some point we will start to accept clients into the office if that's what they would like to do. But at this stage, it is operational. We just aren't currently accepting clients at this stage.
I'm just looking through the comments here. Now, View Geo Job says, contacted today, waiting for the onboarding team to verify my account. I believe they're probably talking about the Cryptoholic law firm or Caleb Brown, one of the two. I can't differentiate.
Yeah, I saw that comment. And I'll provide the support for anyone that's on this call or in this community. If you're currently in the onboarding phase and you're waiting to hear back, we do have a very big influx of new signups. As you can imagine, it's kind of that time of the year where everyone wants to use our service. But for this community, please feel free to reach out to my email. I've put it in the chat of this live stream, and I'll look to fast track your application process. So I forgot the person's name, but if you are still waiting and you'd like me to fast track that, please feel free to reach out to my email and just provide the email address that you used to sign up with us. And I'll look to fast track your application.
Yeah, so that'll be at View Geo Job. Go ahead and give them your email, and we'll get it taken care of ASAP. Let me look through some of these comments here. I'm kind of crawling through the comments. Hey, Jim, any plans to offer a crypto IRA option?
Yeah, great question. It's something that we used to offer as a business, but the requirements in terms of how we could onboard them changed. It is something that I think in the future we'll be able to offer again, especially given the recent executive order signed by Donald Trump that essentially allowed for 401k usage and investments into crypto. So at this stage, we don't currently onboard IRAs, it's just LLCs, trusts, and individual accounts. But certainly moving forward, we will look to explore offering IRA services for clients as well. The IRA equivalent within Australia is called superannuation or self-managed super funds. We do offer that for clients as well, although that is obviously Australian specific. So if you're someone like Stu and you live in Australia and you have a self-managed super fund and you'd like to invest in crypto through that self-managed super fund, you're more than welcome to onboard that through us as well. So IRAs are a wait and see, but we hope to be able to onboard them in the future.
You know what? This is just what I think, and I'm not a financial advisor, obviously, of any kind, but what I'm seeing is when these crypto laws come in and they start getting regular stocks and bonds and tokenizing them, and then everything becomes crypto, basically, I see investment companies, and I won't say Caleb and Brown, but I see investment companies that didn't have IRAs or Roth IRA, whatever it is, 401k. I see them having them in the future, a lot of them, or maybe all of them, because everything's going digital. And I just see that we have to get traditional finance in with this new system of tokenization. And I really see the old world and the new world merging together. Maybe that'd be 3, 4, 5 years from now or something. But I see a day when I think almost every bank, every investment company will have crypto everything, because everything's moving into tokenization form. So I think it's just a matter of time, everybody, to where the rules change. We add like right now, we really don't have crypto regulations. So when we have them, it'll define what's a crypto, what's this, what's that. And I think it'll be more fluid, that you'll be able to go, yeah, I don't know all this stuff, but I think down the road in the future, we'll just have to wait a little bit. Let me take a look. Oh, here is somebody. Wait, screen flipped.
So there's a comment from someone called Fonessa saying, when trying to log into the app, I'm in America, it stops unloading your account with the little circle thing constantly whirling. Is there a fix? So Fon, thank you for sending through that feedback. We did put in a bug big bug fix yesterday with the app. The increase in added traffic from our US clients has been great, and most of the feedback has been really positive. We have had a few bugs come through that have been reported. So I would suggest trying again and seeing if that would work. So just resetting the app and trying to log in again. I imagine that's probably one of the bugs that we fixed. If not, let me know if you're still having issues and I'll report that back to our development team. We are just working through a bunch of different improvements and upgrades to the app, but it seems to be working fine for the most part. So if you're still having that issue, please let me know and I'll chase that up. But as always, you can still log into your Caleb Brown account through the internet and through a web browser as well. So if you can't log into the app right now, feel free to use Safari or Chrome or whatever your extension is, and you'll be able to log in that way. I know it's not ideal, but hopefully that is a fix for you.
Okay, Elite Fitness Factory is having an issue. He says, bro, it's been difficult trying to get my crypto with them. I don't know what that means. It's not easy getting a hold of them. Tempted to get on your $500 club just so you can help me with this. LOL. No, seriously, not funny. So I believe he's trying to get a hold of Kalen Brown and transfer his crypto. I don't know. So why don't you
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say, I responded to him in the chat, although I haven't seen any reply, but I've left my email in there for him to reach out to me and I'll fast track or have a look into what issues he's facing. Unfortunately, sometimes this can happen, but we're usually pretty on top of it in terms of getting people on board and getting started. And often the broker is very responsive, whether that be via email or if you set up a phone call with them. So my email is in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'll get that sorted for you. And yeah, we'll get you up and running with us.
Okay, there's a guy on my channel, who's in charge is his name. Who is in charge? Says, Hulk, I've been trying since June to contact a broker. No success. Please help. So again, Jim.
Same thing. Yeah. If you're having an issue, please feel free to reach out to my email. I'll grab your email address and other details and I'll see what's happening on our back end. If, again, that's something that doesn't sound like our brokers. It is something that they're always across any emails that come through. If you haven't heard from us since June, it may be because you potentially sending it to a wrong email address, as an example. So, who is in charge? Feel free to reach out to my email that I put in the chat here, and I'll help get that sorted for you.
Stu Lavelle, Jim, do you have a law contact in Australia that can do similar to what Anderson can do in the USA?
Not one off the top of my head. I probably need to learn a bit more about what Anderson is actually doing with the community in the US. If it is around LLC creation or in Stu's case, PTY LTD businesses and getting that set up. I would assume that most law firms are pretty good with that. So Stu, I don't have a contact right at this second. Let me ask around though, because often the brokers will get that question, and a lot of the time we've been able to pass on some reliable law firms, accounting firms in the past. So leave it with me. I'll have an ask around and see if we've referred anyone to any of our law firms in the past.
Okay. Here's 95 American Muscle. Can you put your Decent and Caleb Brown account under LLC?
Sorry, can you say the question again?
I think the answer would be yes. Can you put your Decent, which is a wallet, and Caleb Brown account under LLC?
So the Caleb and Brown account, you can create an LLC account. So all your holdings will reflect what you're doing with that LLC account. So you can have an individual account and an LLC account. In terms of your Decent wallet, that's a completely separate wallet. So the crypto that you're holding on that Decent wallet will be different from your Caleb Brown account. Now, if you didn't want to hold it in your Decent wallet and you wanted to move it to your Calvin Brown LLC account, you can do that, and it's a relatively straightforward process. But they're two separate wallets. So the same as what Hulk and I mentioned before, I have a Ledger wallet, but then I also have a Calvin Brown account where I have a bunch of different wallets for all the assets I hold with Calvin Brown. It'll be the same with your scenario. You have a Decent wallet, and then if you have a Calvin Brown account, you'll have different wallet addresses for the assets there as well. So then they're separated.
Now, what I suggest you do, 95 American Muscle, is below almost just about every video I have. Click on the Anderson advisors and ask them, because now we're getting into a legal question area. And we have a special Crypto Hulk investment plan and protection. So you need to call up, use my link, contact the lawyer, and then ask any specific LLC questions with them. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. John T says, when I started, for some whatever reason, they weren't getting my emails, so I used a different email account and all was good going forward. View Geo Job says, thanks, Jim. Looking forward to transfer to Caleb and Brown. Robert Driscoll says, Jim, when I decide to cash out some crypto, what are the steps?
Great question, Robert. And something that everyone on this call should very much be across, whether that's with Cowan Brown or any other exchange or platform you may be holding your crypto on. In terms of how the process would work with us, Robert, let's just say you want to cash out of a crypto holdings position that you're doing really well in, and you decide that you want to sell that off and move it into your bank account. The first thing that you would do is sell out of that crypto into fiat. In this instance, I imagine you're based in the US, so you sell into US dollars. So you would make that trade and transaction either on your portal yourself, or you can contact your broker and email him with the trade request, and they'll execute the trade for you. So that's the first step, is actually selling out into fiat currency, because that's where you'll actually then withdraw it into your bank account. Then once you have the US dollars in your Caleb Brown account, you can request for a withdrawal. So you can do that either yourself in the portal, or again, you can put through a withdrawal request where you'll email your broker and say, hey, I have, as an example, $100,000 worth of US dollars that I'd like to withdraw to my bank account. Now you can save your bank account details in your Caleb Brown account, and that's something that I would very much recommend all on this call to do. But if you hadn't done that, you could provide those bank details to your broker. And what you've done there is you've processed or you've put in a withdrawal request. So once that withdrawal request is in our system, and depending on the size of the withdrawal, in this instance, if it's $100,000, the broker will actually call you to verify that it's you. So we'll go through a bunch of security questions to verify that it's actually you requesting the withdrawal, because it may come as a shock, but unfortunately we have a lot of people that get their email hacked or their phone gets SIM swapped. So we often will call them to verify that it's actually them requesting the withdrawal. In that case, let's just say it is you, Robert. You want to withdraw that $100,000 and you answer all those security questions. We'll then process that withdrawal for you. And then it will be with our US bank to process that domestic transfer into your US bank. Now that usually can take 1 to 2 business days. It just depends on the banks and how quickly they'll process that. But that's really how it all works. You won't have any withdrawal fees in that process, and you won't have any withdrawal limits. So if you were to do that through, say, Uphold, you'd only be able to do, say, 20,000 or 30,000 a day. So it would take you 3 or 4 different withdrawal requests. With us, we'll do the full 100,000. We'll never limit you, which is really valuable for a lot of high net worth clients that are looking to withdraw high or large amounts of money. There'll be no limits and there's no fees for that. So that's how the process will work. I hope that makes sense, but let me know if I can explain any of that in more detail.
This person here, his name is Fan Nessa. When trying to log into the app, and I presume that's the Caleb Brown app, I'm in America, it stops on loading your account with the little circle thingy constantly
Yeah.
whirling. Is there a fix?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just answered that one before. We have got a fix, and I could just see as of right now, Vanessa put a message in the chat saying she tried to log in again and it worked. So that's great to hear. As I mentioned, we did push out a big bug fix a few days ago. Um, but the app seems to be running pretty well for most of our clients. So good to hear, Vanessa, that you're able to get back into your account.
Um, we got here somebody, okay, is out of Canada. Now, here's what I recommend. Go to the Crypto Hulk channel, look down below, and you need to go to Anderson Advisors and talk to them about seeing if you're able to sign up with Caleb Brown, even though you live in I'm sorry, sign up with Anderson Advisor, even though you live in Canada. Because if you are, I don't know. That's why I want you to call a lawyer. If you're able to set up an account, then your LLC can buy the crypto because you're not buying it, your LLC is buying it. So again, contact the crypto lawyer at the bottom of the channel and ask them these questions, please. All right, next is Ron Weber. Ron Weber says, have my big crypto bags with Caleb and Brown been very happy, always smooth service. That's why I got them. Let me look. Lester, there's Lester. He says, Lester's a $500 member. Hello, Jim. Is there an easier process to get set up as an LLC rather than to have a notarized operating agreement?
Yeah, so to onboard an LLC, we do require a notarized operating agreement. Unfortunately, that is just our requirements as part of our KYC process and as part of our actual onboarding of LLCs. We're legally required to have a notarized operating agreement. It's pretty standard for most LLCs to get set up, have that. So unfortunately, that is a non-negotiable. I know that notarization isn't always required in some states in the US. But unfortunately, it is a requirement on our end to onboard these LLCs and to allow you to actually invest in crypto through the LLC. So it's part of the process, unfortunately. But as long as you can get that signed and sent over, you'll have your LLC on board and you can get started.
Question says, I'm a client, I believe, of Caleb Brown. It says, is there a wait list for new tokens to be added for viewing?
So there's not a wait list. We certainly go through a review of a number of tokens at our client's request, but there's never a scenario where one client has access to certain tokens that another doesn't. If we're going to list a token, it'll be available for all. Now, if you do have a token that you'd like us to list, we always recommend reaching out to your broker, and our operations team will go through the process of reviewing that asset and doing our due diligence on it. If there is a particular asset that we're thinking of listing, but it hasn't quite gone live yet, that's where, sometimes I will let Hulk know beforehand that we will be planning to list it pretty soon. I think that was the case with something like World Liberty Financial. So you will, in some instances, know before other clients that an asset will go live on our platform before it happens. But there's never a scenario where one client has access to an asset that another doesn't.
Somebody asked, hi Hulk, is there a minimum amount you need to have an account? So at Caleb Brown, tell people how much money they need to start working with you guys.
Completely free. So it's completely free to make an account and speak to a broker and get started, which is a great thing, right? Usually an institutional like service like Caleb and Brown will require you to have a certain amount of money or put in a certain amount of money before you can use the service. That's certainly not the case with us. We want to make this accessible to the everyday investor with the upside of having the institutional benefits. So it's completely free to make an account. Now, if you try and make an account in periods of peak demand, so often that can take a little longer to get onboarded. So that's why we always recommend, if you have spare time now, to just get the process done. It's pretty quick to create an account. But in terms of having an account with us, it's completely free. if you do decide that you want to trade with us and use our service, we do have a $500 minimum, but we think that's pretty fair given the overall service that we're providing for clients. While I'm here now, I know that there was a question around Coinbase's fees and how that compare. So as that's rightly been mentioned by a few people in the comments, we have one fee and one fee only, and that's a transaction fee. So it's on a buy, sell, or swap, and it's the 3.5% default fee. Now, if you were to look at the transaction costs on, say, other exchanges, 3.5% probably seems quite high. But what you have to factor in, and it's something that I always stress for anyone that isn't quite across the fee structures of how crypto businesses make their money, you'll be getting charged significant fees on spread and slippage, especially spread. So that is the difference between the price that you buy an asset at and the price that you sell it at. Now, with certain exchanges, if you compare the price that you're buying a certain asset on with our price would be far more favorable for you as an investor because we won't charge things like spread. Sometimes I'll be charged an even larger transaction fee. So as an example, the other day I wanted to swap between USDC and USDT. They're just two stable coins that really shouldn't cost me too much. And in fact, doesn't cost me too much on decentralized exchange. But on Coinbase, that was going to cost me 50 plus US dollars just to do that swap. So there are additional costs and fees that they'll charge that we'll never charge for you. And we won't charge you for things like withdrawal fees. We won't have withdrawal limits as well. So yes, our transaction fee is a little higher, but when you compare it to the overall fee structure of other platforms, it's actually very competitive, if not a more favorable outcome for most investors. So that's how our fee structure works in comparison to, say, a Coinbase. But it's the same for all exchanges. They'll all charge you spreads. They'll charge you dynamic spreads, which means in periods of peak demand, you'll actually be charged more, especially for certain assets. So it's something to be across, but we're pretty fair in terms of how we make our money as a business. You'll never be charged anything hidden with us. It'll be fully transparent.
Okay, some of these guys have seen this already. They'll go on Uniswap, and if everybody wants to sell at the same time, there's very, very high impact fees. I saw in a couple cryptos 30%, 40% fee. Okay, that doesn't at Caleb Brown, that never happens because does Caleb, hey, I got a question, Jim. Do you guys absorb all that slippage fee and impact fee stuff if yes or no or
Yeah, absolutely. So we incur the spread that naturally would be a part of that trade.
there you go.
We are fortunate that we have a bunch of liquidity providers and OTC desks that we work with to get the best rate possible for our clients. Now, if there is significant spread or slippage on those trades that we're doing for clients, we'll incur that additional cost. We won't pass that on to the client.
Okay, guys, that is massive right there. And let me tell you something. Why is that important? Because one day, whatever is in your account is going to add on about 6 more zeros to it. Okay. And that slippage fee, when you're trying to get in and out, Caleb Brown not charging you for none of that. It's a flat fee. But when you look at these other, okay, here's another thing I love about Caleb Brown. When you go to a crypto exchange or even some other places, when you go to buy it, you buy the crypto at what price that exchange says it's worth, right? So what they'll do is generally be higher. And then when you go to sell it, sell your crypto, they're not going to give you the top. These other companies are not going to give you the top thing. They're going to give you as low as they can to sell it back, okay? Caleb Brown finds the lowest possible liquidity provider, the lowest cost. So they buy your crypto at the lowest place they can find it. And when they go to sell it, they find the highest bidder and they try to do the micro selling of it where it reduces slippage costs on top of that. These other exchanges, when you go to buy it, you're going to pay more. And then when you go to sell your crypto, they're going to give you less for it. That's how I've understood it.
Yeah, and I see a question in the chat, and it's a very good question. I'm just trying to find who said it. Give me one moment. Someone asked, "What is slippage?" Or dry. The name's Dry Event Solution Shop says, "Hey Jim, can you explain slippage?" So slippage is the difference between the expected price of a trade and then the actual price that is felt by the consumer when they have the trade executed. So this usually happens due to a range of factors. The main one is liquidity. So let's just say I'm looking to make a really large trade, an asset that doesn't have a lot of liquidity in the market for it. If I try and trade out of a $500,000 position, but there's only a smaller amount of liquidity in the market for it, you actually will end up moving the price in an unfavorable way to get that trade executed. So this may result in you paying more to buy a certain asset, but in this scenario, if you're looking to sell, you'll actually receive less in terms of, say, it's US dollars, because you're moving the market negatively. There's only a certain amount of that token in the market that people are looking to buy at the price that you're looking to sell. So if you're looking to sell more than there's demand to buy on the other end, that's where you'll move the market negatively. That's where the price will dump as you try and sell more of it, which means as the price is dumping, you're selling for less and less. So it's something that occurs quite commonly with altcoins and with smaller market cap assets. If we're talking about, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum, there's so much liquidity in the market for these major assets. It's not as relevant, but certainly, and I know that this community is very much interested in more sort of the altcoin space. Slippage is a very prevalent thing and something that a lot of investors don't realize. They try to sell at a certain price, and then what the price they actually end up getting is far less. So it's something to be across. And if it's an asset that we list and you have a lot of it, you're probably better to do it through us because we'll actually get you the best price possible without moving the market. Whereas if you did that on an exchange or another platform, they'll just automate your deal, they'll automate your trade, and you'll get whatever price they're given. And often it'll be a far worse result for you.
So I have a question. What you got, well, actually, maybe a comment. What you guys can do, let's say you want to buy a crypto, the first thing you should try is Caleb and Brown. Even if it's a smaller one, you never know. Sometimes they carry them. So, Jim, how would a person, if they found a small cap coin and they're not sure if you guys have it, how would that person see if you guys can carry it or buy it through you?
The best way to check is just to log into Calvin Brown account and type in the ticker. So within the Calvin Brown account, there'll be a search bar and you can search for all assets that we list. So if
Okay.
you type in whatever that asset is and it doesn't appear, that means we don't list it. If it appears and you can click on it and you can go and have a look at the chart and you can see how to buy, sell, and swap, that means we do list it. That means it's available for clients to move assets over. So that's the best measure and best approach you can take.
Now, sometimes you guys don't sell a crypto, but you can custody it. How does a person know?
Yeah, so in that scenario, it's a good question. Sometimes we'll allow clients to just custody with us, or they can just sometimes sell through us, which means there's more. It's more limited functionality with Calvin Brown. The asset will still appear in your portal though. So if you search, let's just say, I don't know what an example is, but let's just say it's Stellar as an example that has full functionality, but you'll actually be able to see it within your Calvin Brown account. And then on the right-hand side, it will tell you the things that you can do. So there'll be a buy, sell, deposit, and custody option. It'll have ticked all the things that you can do on your Calvin Brown account. So I recommend logging in if it's a particular asset and doing a search and seeing what comes up.
I hold at least, this is from Chuck McCabe. Chuck, thanks for that donation. I hold at least 30 tokens on Caleb Brown. If I use Crypto Hulk's law firm, how long will it take to change all of the assets into the LLC holdings? And do I have to do it or Caleb Brown do it for me or what?
Yeah, great question, Chuck. In that instance, if you were to onboard an LLC account, so you would have your individual Chuck account, and then you have your LLC account as well. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a painful process, but you would need to withdraw the assets from your individual account into another wallet outside of Calvin Brown and then deposit them back into your LLC account. The reason for this is that they're two distinct accounts. Yes, they fall under the same login, but they're ultimately different accounts with maybe, in some instances, different directors. Let's just say your LLC had other people on board compared to your individual account. We couldn't necessarily move those assets ourselves. So it's not something that we would do ourselves. You would have to withdraw those assets and then redeposit them. But it also just gives you that safety and assurance just because that's how we do things in terms of custody. So when they're custodying in your individual capacity, they're in different wallet addresses from the wallet addresses of your LLC. So we as a business will never move those assets around. That's up to you in that instance to withdraw them. So I would recommend withdrawing them to one of your wallets that maybe you have yourself or even another exchange. And then you can just redeposit them into the different wallet addresses of your LLC. Again, if it's something you're not 100% sure on how to do, I'd recommend onboarding the LLC and then setting up a call with your broker or even just emailing your broker to help assist you in that process.
Crystal Gazing, thank you very much for that donation. Appreciate it. Jim, we're fortunate that Caleb and Brown is keeping our crypto safe in Fireblocks for free. Knowledge and great attitudes is what this person says. So right on for that.
Thanks, Crystal. I appreciate it.
James Edwards says, "Hi, Jim. What will I need to do to get my account with Caleb and Brown? I have my trust as the beneficiary."
So I'm not sure if they already have a current account. If you don't have an account, Crypto Hulk has a link that is usually in the bio. I'm not sure if it's in this bio right now, but maybe someone can post the link in the chat. But ultimately, if you have a trust that's set up, you can onboard that trust. So as long as you have the necessary trust documentation, which I imagine you do, when you go to sign up your Caleb Brown account, there'll be an initial sign up form. You'll put through just your individual details, so just be your name, your email, your phone number, etc. And then when you go to verify your account, you'll actually have the optionality to select either as an individual, as an entity, or as a trust. And in that scenario, you would select trust and you would fill out the details of that trust and provide the documentation. And then that would allow you to onboard your trust and you'd be able to trade in the capacity of that trust, whether you're a trustee or maybe you're one of the beneficiaries of that trust. We do need to verify the trustees of that trust, but it's a relatively straightforward process. So I would recommend creating an account with the Caleb Brown Crypto Hulk link and getting started. The benefit as well is if you are in that process and you maybe don't have a broker yet and you're not quite sure what you're doing, we have a support team here that is there to help you. So feel free to reach out to our support team. You can find the email on our website, or they work via phone call 9 to 5 throughout Australian time as well. So, and US time. So feel free in that instance to give our support team a call if you need assistance with that as well.
Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm putting that link in the description. Give me a minute. Copy and hold on a minute. Paste.
Yep. While you're doing that, I just see Damien's question. So Damien, and it's a fair question, says, what happens if I decide to move my crypto from Caleb Brown to a cold wallet? Is there a 3.5% fee for doing that? So no, there's no fee for doing that. And I see that someone else says, I hope not. That is never the case. So if you're just transferring assets through Caleb Brown or elsewhere, there's no fee for that. The only fee is ever on the execution of a trade. So just think about if I'm actually buying assets, if I'm selling assets, or if I'm swapping between two different assets, that's where the fee is incurred. But if you're just moving assets to Caleb Brown or you're withdrawing them to your own wallet, there's no fee for that, Damien. So I hope that's clear.
Yeah, and then there's no monthly fee, you guys. When you have Caleb Brown, you can transfer your crypto there. There's no monthly fee to have institutional custody, just like Citibank, BNY Mellon, all these top banks that might, a lot of them use Caleb Brown, 2,000 of them. And then you can so there's no charge for that. So that's the beauty of it all. Robert Driscoll, thanks for the donation. Hulk, thanks for having these Caleb and Brown information shows. Jim, thanks for your clarity. Greatly appreciated. And we are just about out of time. Maybe I'll take one or two more questions. We've been at this about an hour now. That's generally how long my shows go. So let me look for last minute questions, and that will be it.
I do see a question from Benji that says, what is the daily limit for fiat withdrawals? No daily limit. So I wanted to make that very clear. We don't have limits as a business. So it's a really great service. If you're looking to off ramp and off ramp at size, you won't have any limitations in terms of how much you can withdraw back to your bank account. So if you're someone that's looking to exit the market, I very much recommend doing so through Caleb Brown because you won't have any limits imposed there. So something to keep in mind, Benji.
Crypto Savage. This is probably more of a question for the law firm. So look below the video right now. You'll see a more section. You click on more, and then you'll see the Caleb Brown link. You'll see the video that Caleb Brown has, and then you'll see Crypto Hulk's crypto law firm. The question is this from Crypto Savage. So, Jim, I mean, you could answer it, but I'm going to refer it to the Crypto Hulk lawyer. Jim, considering what Crypto Hulk just stated, when selling under LLC account, since Caleb Brown's now located in Florida, are taxes on gains reported to the IRS?
It's a good question. As of right now, the answer is no. So we don't report transactions that our clients are doing to the IRS. That's up to the client themselves. Now, that could change in the future. So I'm not going to sit here and say that that will never happen. It certainly may be a requirement on us now, as you mentioned, that we have an office presence within the US. But at this stage, we don't. So it's up to the client to report those. Something I would stress, and I know that a lot of people get into crypto because of the decentralized nature. Tax reporting on crypto is probably the number one thing that the IRS and the Australian equivalent in the ATO is focused on because I know a lot of people aren't reporting their gains. So it's something that is obviously up to you as an individual investor, but it's becoming more and more sophisticated in terms of how these taxation authorities can track transactions and track the gains. So if you're looking to bypass any tax on these gains, I would probably recommend not doing so. But it's certainly up to you as an investor in terms of how you want to best proceed.
Okay, so Delgadov says, well, first off, thanks for the donation, Delgadov. Thank you, Hulk and Jim, for all the information tonight. Now, Damien Perez has a comment. So basically, you could just hold your crypto with Caleb. So he's trying to understand this. So basically, you can hold your crypto with Caleb Brown, and when you're ready to sell, move it to a cold wallet and not get the 3.5% fee. Is that correct?
Correct. No fee on transfers,
So there you go,
only on
Damien.
execution. So if you're just moving
Damien's
assets, yeah.
Yeah, Damien says, LOL, there must be something I'm missing. That's why we have Caleb Brown, dude. You can load him up. You can take your crypto wherever it is in the world, even if it's in the North Pole with Santa Claus, send it to Caleb and Brown for free. They will use institutional custody for free to protect your crypto as long as you want. And then when you're 150 years old, even it's still free. Well, I don't know. One day they might start charging. And then if for some reason you want to send all your custody out and wherever you want to send it to, that's free. So what
Yeah,
happens,
look,
Jim?
what I would say, Damien, yeah, sorry, I did just want to address his comment. So the second part of his comment is, so basically you can just hold your crypto with Cal Brown and when ready to sell, move it to a cold wallet and not get the 3.5% fee. Look, technically you can do that, but it's not the type of client that we want to be working with. If you're going to leverage our cold storage solution, if you're going to speak to a broker and use the service, we are very much recommending that then you would trade through us. We'd like to think that the service that we're providing would entail then you to use our service for the execution element. And certainly if a client's just leveraging our cold storage solution free of charge, and we found that they're just then withdrawal to execute trades later elsewhere, we probably wouldn't provide those services for those clients again. So yes, technically you could do that, but given that we are providing an institutional grade service and the fee structure is pretty fair for clients, we'd very much hope and respect that you would use our service when it comes time to actually executing the trade.
Right. Now, if somebody has crypto at Caleb Brown and they want to cash out because they realize, oh, damn, there's $50 million here. How much does it cost that client to pull out all the money through Caleb Brown and send it to their bank account? How much does Caleb Brown charge for that?
No fee. No fee and no limits. So if you're looking to move out $1 million into your bank account, like we do those kinds of withdrawals daily. So you'll have no fee to do that. And there'll be no limit. So you won't have to do 20,000 a day to get that $1 million out, which would take you, I don't know, over a month. With us, you will get it all done in one go for you, and we won't charge you a withdrawal fee. So again, Damien, part of the overall service that we'd hope you'd actually execute that trade with us in the beginning. Certainly, this isn't a free service by any means, but we'd hope you'd leverage all the benefits of it, especially when it comes time to then execute trades as well.
Okay, I think we're done. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. We have a little question answer period, went quite well. A lot of people's questions are being answered. Kalen Brown obviously is my preferred exchange for custody and stuff like that. I got damn near all my stuff on their platform being protected, and I love the fire blocks option. So I highly encourage all you guys to sign up, utilize the service, buy and sell, and use Kalen Brown. And we will have another one of these question and answers, maybe in 2, 3 weeks or so. Who knows? Depending if we got time. And I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. And we got a great show lined up for tomorrow morning, I'm telling you. So with that, I'm going to end this broadcast, and I'll see you guys in the morning. So let me figure out
See you
how to get
guys.
this. Adios then. Let's see, where do I go?
Looks like we're still live here.
Okay, yeah, I clicked out of the one show. I'm trying to figure out how to click out of this one here.